We're not going to regroup with the others. We're going to the Dagobah system.
Come with me, toy fans.
This video was made possible thanks to the kind generosity of Drew G, so check out his awesome YouTube channel. There's a link in the video description below. The swamp planet of Dagobah plays a key role in The Empire Strikes Back, with it being the home of Jedi Master Yoda, and a place that Luke Skywalker visits to further his Jedi training. It's where we as an audience learn more about the mysterious Force, and where Luke must begin to face his deepest fears. The scenes on Dagobah are crucially important to the development of the saga's main character, and by subverting expectations with the design of Yoda, producer George Lucas and puppeteer Frank Oz created one of the most beloved characters in the entire Star Wars franchise. With the events on Dagobah being so pivotal to the story, Kenner naturally wanted to bring this location and these characters into the toy range. They created a wonderful playset and two of my favourite action figures in the whole line. Yet back in the 1980s, Kenner didn't offer us everything we needed for the type of Dagobah playtime that we truly dreamed of.
Something familiar about this place.
Something out of a dream or...
I don't know.
As the rebels begin fleeing the Empire during the Battle of Hoth, Luke Skywalker and R2-D2 are separated from the rest of the heroes. Yet instead of going after Han, Leia and Chewie, our main protagonist chooses to travel to the planet Dagobah because of a message he received from the ghost of Obi-Wan Kenobi.
You will go to the Dagobah system. There you will learn from Yoda, the Jedi Master who instructed me.
Luke flies to Dagobah in his X-Wing fighter, and in 1982 Kenner offered an updated version of this toy vehicle. Kenner's original X-Wing fighter was produced in white plastic, whereas the revised edition was manufactured in grey, and it also featured new black-coloured engine intakes. The 82 edition also came included with stickers to give your X-Wing a battle-damaged look, yet frustratingly these stickers were a one-time deal, and once applied, they could not be removed. I was never a fan of these battle-damaged stickers, so when adding this toy to my collection, I sought out an example that did not have the stickers applied. Also, the term battle damage is a bit misleading, because Luke's X-Wing does not see any combat in The Empire Strikes Back. I believe that Kenner was actually inspired to include these stickers because of the scenes where the X-Wing crash lands on Dagobah, which is why this environment is depicted in the photograph on the box, and I guess the term battle damage sounds much cooler than crash damage.
Yep, that's it. Dagobah. There's something alive down there.
Although my second edition X-Wing toy does not have these stickers applied, I do have the white Palitoy version of the X-Wing with battle damage stickers, because this is the one that I owned in childhood. After crash landing on Dagobah, Luke and R2 attempt to get their bearings, but R2-D2 falls off the side of the X-Wing and lands in the swamp, so he deploys his sensor scope to help find his way out, and this very brief scene inspired Kenner to create a second version of the R2-D2 action figure.
If you're saying coming here was a bad idea, I'm beginning to agree with you.
The original R2 is known by collectors today as the solid dome version, with this new version of R2-D2 featuring a sensor scope that pops up out of his vac metallized dome. In this scene, Luke is wearing his flight suit, but he is not wearing his pilot's helmet, and it always disappointed me in childhood that we never received an X-Wing pilot Luke with a removable helmet. Fortunately, this is one of the easiest custom figures to make today, and I created this using the body of a vintage figure and the head from Hasbro's retro collection Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker.
It's really a strange place to find a Jedi Master.
Luke and R2 set up camp in the swamp, and this is the first time we see our hero wearing his iconic Rebel ground fatigues. Despite the fact that Luke wears this uniform on Dagobah, Kenner opted to call this figure Luke Skywalker Bespin Fatigues, and this is my favourite figure in the entire range, yet it is not without its flaws. Kenner did a great job of sculpting the fatigues, complete with accurate pocket details, and here Luke wears his equipment belt complete with a lightsaber hilt, even though he came equipped with a lightsaber accessory that he could hold in his hand. Just as Kenner had done with the original Luke Skywalker action figure, they produced this saber in yellow plastic instead of blue, which is the colour that it appeared on screen. Bespin Fatigues Luke is also armed with a blaster pistol, and there are multiple variations of this action figure, with the colour of the boots and the hair changing depending on which factory the figure was produced in. In this early prototype image, you can see that Kenner did have plans to add some extra painted details to the lightsaber hilt, the belt buckle, and the straps on the boots. but I assume these were omitted to lower the production cost of the figure. I think this is a real shame because a lick of silver paint on the lightsaber hilt and the belt buckle would have really made this figure pop, but it is still my favourite figure in the entire line because of what the character represents. This is our main hero depicted in the costume he wore during the most pivotal scenes in the entire saga, and you don't get much more iconic than that.
Now all I gotta do is find this Yoda. If he even exists.
The Lucasfilm producers wisely kept the Yoda character out of the original Empire Strikes Back movie trailer, because George Lucas wanted to subvert our expectations of what a Jedi Master would be like, and he delivered in spades. The on-screen character was puppeteered and voiced by Frank Oz.
Always with you what cannot be done.
And Yoda was instantly adored by the Star Wars fandom. However, he was not included in Kenner's original wave of Empire Strikes Back action figures released in 1980. This was a smart move since Lucasfilm wanted to keep the character's appearance a secret, but it meant that we kids wouldn't get a Yoda action figure until 1981.
Oh, wait, put your weapon. I mean you no harm.
Kenner's Yoda is a wonderfully designed little action figure, and the company gave him more accessories than we had ever received before with any other figure. Perhaps they were trying to pack in more value since the figure was so small. Yoda came with a soft goods robe, a belt, a walking cane and a snake, and by the time the Kenner Star Wars line ended in 1985, only one other figure would come with this many accessories, and that was Endor Leia. Yoda is beautifully sculpted, and it's easy to see just how much care, attention and effort the designers poured into this action figure, making it one of the best in the entire line. The earliest issue figures came with light green skin, a light brown walking cane and an orange snake. Yet as the line continued, Yoda's skin became darker, the snake went from orange to brown, and his walking cane ended up almost cherry in colour. This darker skinned brown snake version is significantly rarer than the early release, and collectors should expect to pay a premium if they want to add this version to their collection. To complement the Yoda action figure, Kenner also released the Dagobah action playset in 1981.
My home. Slimy. My home this is.
This beautiful boxed example was gifted to me at JoeFest 2023 by my friend Drew G, and as I mentioned, you'll find a link to his YouTube channel in the video description below. The Dagobah playset is centered around Yoda's hut and surrounded with a wealth of enjoyable play features. The sculpting here is simply impeccable, with tons of little details all over the base. Inside the hut there is a food preparation area that features a sculpted bowl and spoon, and there is a small lizard sculpted into the side of the base where the toy designer actually carved in his daughter's name. It's not easy to find, but once you locate it you can see the name Emily etched into the lizard's back. When Luke visits Yoda's hut he has to sit on the floor because he is far too tall for this tiny abode, and Kenner has incorporated this area into the playset, where your Luke and Yoda action figures can share a meal. On one side of the playset there is a foam swamp that you can use to pretend that R2-D2 is sinking in the mud. However, the foam used here deteriorates over time. My example still has the original foam, but it is utterly useless now. Fortunately though, it is quite easy to fit a replacement foam panel in this area.
Do. Or do not. There is no try.
Next to the swamp is the Jedi training area that features a branch that you can clip onto Luke Skywalker and make him levitate. There are also a couple of cargo crates that can be levitated by pressing a lever to simulate Luke using the Force. This play feature can also be used to levitate R2-D2 by employing the adapter accessory. This small plastic cylinder is the most commonly missing piece from this playset, with the majority of examples available on the secondary market today being incomplete because this little knick-knack was lost years ago. To use this feature you remove one of the cargo boxes and place the cylinder over the post. You then insert the cylinder inside R2-D2's body. A bit like a butt plug.
Get in there, you big Oreo! I don't care what you smell!
Once you have everything set up you can then have Luke levitate R2 by using the same lever. On the opposite side of the playset there are two movable action stands, with this common play feature dating back to the Star Wars Creature Cantina that was released in 1979.
What's in there?
Only what you take with you.
One of these action stands allows you to have a figure coming out of the cave, so that you can recreate the iconic scene where Luke has his lightsaber battle with an imaginary Darth Vader. Very few characters appear on the planet Dagobah in the movie, and while Kenner has provided most of them, This small collection of toys also has one of the biggest misses in the entire Star Wars line. In many of these scenes, Luke is in training, being taught the ways of the Force by Jedi Master Yoda, and he is wearing his Rebel Ground uniform without the jacket. But Kenner never offered us a Dagobah training Luke Skywalker back in the day. Lucky for us though, Stan Solo Creations have recently filled that gap in our collections by producing an excellent action figure version of our hero from this part of the trilogy. The Stan Solo Dagobah training Luke is expertly sculpted, and I love the choice to make his hair look all messy as it did in the film. This figure has Luke wearing his tank top, and the decision to make the head and neck one piece was very clever, because the cutout where the neck sits inside the vest gives the collar some added depth. Sure, it's a small detail, but a very welcome one. Stan Solo also offers two versions of this figure, one with a yellow lightsaber that comes on an Empire Strikes Back card, and one with a blue saber that is packaged on a Power of the Force card. And this is exactly how Kenner would have done these back in the 1980s, because they didn't start getting the colour of Luke's lightsaber correct until the Return of the Jedi run in 1983. In my opinion, Dagobah training Luke is one of the best figures ever produced by Stan Solo Creations, and if you want to add this figure to your collection, you'll find a link in the video description below. During these Jedi training scenes, Luke is running through the swamp whilst carrying Yoda in a backpack, and this accessory was first included in the Mail-Away Survival Kit, before Kenner started packing it in with the Dagobah action playset in 1982. This backpack attaches to Luke Skywalker with two PVC straps, and there is room in the back to carry the Yoda action figure.
I can't. It's too big.
That's what she said.
When you give this backpack to the Stan Solo Luke and add the duo to the Dagobah playset, it offers up a prime example of what I've been consistently saying about Stan Solo's figures for the last few years. The aesthetic that they are able to capture with their products just fits in seamlessly with the original Kenner designs. This is exactly how Kenner would have made this action figure back in the 80s, and now that we finally have this version of Luke, I'm not so mad about them calling the original figure Luke Skywalker in Bespin fatigues. Another character to appear on Dagobah is the ghost of Obi-Wan Kenobi. After seeing a fateful premonition of a city in the clouds, Luke runs off to save his friends, while Yoda and Obi-Wan plead with him to stay on Dagobah and complete his Jedi training. To recreate this scene in toy form, you could use the original Ben Kenobi action figure, but for a better aesthetic, Stan Solo has you covered here too, as they also offer a translucent glow-in-the-dark version of this ghost character, as well as my preferred option, which is the vintage-style Ghost of Obi-Wan.
It is you and your abilities the Emperor wants. That is why your friends are made to suffer.
While all three of the original trilogy movies follow the traditional three-act story structure, the overall saga also follows this classic format. The first act that plays out in the original Star Wars movie features the inciting incident, which is the attack on the Death Star, whilst also posing the major dramatic question: can the rebels eventually defeat the mighty Galactic Empire? Whereas the third act climax of Return of the Jedi sees our heroes defeat the Empire, and Anakin fulfills his prophecy by bringing balance to the Force. Yet the second act, which is often referred to as Rising Action, is traditionally the most exciting, nail-biting part of any story, where the antagonist must have a confrontation with the villain that they are not yet prepared for. They must not only learn new skills, but they also must arrive at a higher sense of awareness of who they are and what they are capable of. This cannot be achieved alone, and they are usually guided through this character arc by a mentor.
You must unlearn what you have learned.
So much of what is crucial to the hero's journey is played out in this case during the scenes on Dagobah, and I feel as though the designers working at Kenner truly understood the importance of these characters and this particular setting, and that's why they poured their heart and soul into designing these toys, and they really did a bang-up job. The figures of Yoda and Bespin Luke are terrific, and the design of the Dagobah playset is incredible, with beautiful sculpting and a host of well-executed play features, which makes it such a shame that they didn't put the same level of effort into their Bespin playset.
And I'll return. I promise.
I've been dreaming of the perfect Dagobah display for years, and Drew G and Stan Solo have made that dream come true. So thank you guys, and may the Force be with you.
What a creepy swamp!
It's Kenner's new Dagobah action playset. You have to put it together. Action figures each sold separately.
Yoda, I'm stuck! Fear not, Luke Skywalker. I'll save you. Now I'll teach you the ways of the Jedi with the lightsaber. Now how to levitate. I'm trying, Yoda. I did it!
New Dagobah action playset from Kenner Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back collection. Action figures each sold separately.